Welcome to Season 5 of Pants Around Ankles Prevention, where my mission is to help you keep your pants securely buckled and avoid that unexpected, awkward, and embarrassing moment when you realize suddenly that they're not. This season, we're going to do things a little differently with shorts around ankles prevention. Quick, power-packed episodes designed to deliver a punch of truth to help you wake up to a new perspective. Let's see what today's short has in store. Peek behind the curtain. For any regular listeners, this is going to be a little bit different today. It's a peek behind the curtain into my life. We had a visitor in town the other day who spent the night here with us. She, like us, lives out in the country where we don't have the typical noise of a city. She commented as she was getting ready to leave about how quiet it is here. She went on to say, "I live in the country too, but there's something different about the quiet here." Oh, yes, there is. And it's a comment that we've had before. And she and these others are right. So what follows is my way of talking about this phenomenon she has identified. The way I'm going to talk about it, I find useful. This is all about waking up, and what follows is about that for me. What our house guest was describing was her awareness of the silence that is here. Quiet can be thought of as the absence of noise. It's something you experience through your ears. Silence is different. It's something that you feel or sense, and it is not the absence of noise. It is the dynamism of consciousness, which is full of life and the ground from which all of creation arises. It's not just present in our little corner of the globe here. It's present everywhere. It's alive and vibrant. You can sense it anywhere and everywhere, though it certainly is the experience of most that it's easier to sense in a settled environment where there are fewer sensory-related stimuli to obscure it, stimuli like noise. What makes this silence more apparent to some visitors is that there are many people where I live that make a practice of dipping into this silence every day. There's what biologist Rupert Sheldrake describes as a morphic resonance, or in quantum theory, what would be called a field effect that makes the connection to this silence stronger and more visible because so many people are doing it in close proximity to each other. A point. Both of these explanations are theories and not scientifically validated, but nobody who engages in these practices questions what's happening, even if science hasn't caught up with it yet. That our house guest and others notice this silence enough that they comment on it is certainly validation that something's happening. What these guests do have in common, however, is that they also have some sort of practice that they engage in regularly that connects them to that silence. So they're tuned into it already. For me, waking up and becoming more aware of the dynamism of consciousness are exactly the same thing. This practice I keep referring to of dipping into the dynamism of consciousness goes by many different names. So whether you call it meditation, prayer, mindfulness, concentration, contemplation, transcending, or some other label, there is a practice within all major religious traditions that will allow you to dip into this silence. And an important point, some of these same labels also apply to other activities that may not have that same effect. I've been dipping into this silence now for decades. As a result, I am happier, I am healthier, both physically and mentally. The stressful events of life have less impact on me. Oh yeah, I'm also more financially prosperous while working fewer hours, in case any of that's important to you. But that doesn't mean that this is right for you, because like most anything worth doing, it requires trade-offs, and there's obstacles on the path. And it seems for most, the biggest hurdle is time. So many of us have our days jammed full of activities that carving out time for a practice like this just doesn't seem practical. And the results for many are not instantaneous nor initially obvious. So they think it isn't working for them. Here's the thing. It always works. Actually, it can't not work. But here's an analogy to help you understand. You have 2 buckets of water, and you put yellow dye into both. Into each bucket, you then immerse a pure white linen cloth. After a while, you pull the fabric out of, let's say, bucket B, but leave the cloth in bucket A. You lay that wet fabric out in the sun and you let it dry. And as it dries, it kind of turns back into white again. Back in the bucket B it goes. And after a while, you pull it out and you dry it, and some of that yellow tint starts to remain. So you repeat this process over and over and over, and gradually that white cloth changes and becomes permanently yellow as it dries. Then you pull the cloth out of bucket A and lay it in the sun. It's been immersed the whole time this is going on, and the sun dries it out, and you know what color it is? It's white. It's the dipping in and out, the in and out, that sets the color. The results come from going into the dye and then out. Dipping into silence and getting results can be thought of in much the same way. For many, there are some results that come very quickly. They experience peacefulness, emerge rested, clear, things like that. But the big payoff is that over time, when the practice ends, the silence that you dipped into comes with you back into daily life. You might say it's sticky. But finding the time for a practice of dipping into that silence is both challenging and not challenging. It's challenging because we live busy lives and there's always competing demands. I've been dipping for decades, and I deal with the reality of the competing demands all the time. But really, it's not challenging. Pretty sure most of you, no matter how busy you are, manage to find time every day to eat and to bathe and to sleep. So you can make time for this too. Now, I'm not going to attempt to teach or instruct on the mechanics of dipping into silence. There's plenty of sources you can explore that can do that, but I will give you one tip. If you are trying, you're not doing it right. The process is simple, easy, and effortless. It's as easy and effortless as seeing a sight, hearing a sound, or smelling a smell. It's natural and it's effortless. If you're curious, try it. Just notice what happens when you let yourself rest in that deeper place, even for a minute. This silence isn't separate from life. It's what life is made of. Once you start noticing it, you realize it's been there all along. So that's a peek behind my curtain, and it could be yours as well. If you'd like a deeper dive into this topic, consider subscribing to our newsletter, Waking Up, where we will explore it in even more detail. And if you found this episode helpful, be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. See you soon.